Hello everyone. So we're going to continue with the tutorial videos. In this case, we're going to do one called Heyton's Rest, which is on the tutorial island, basically Korthos Island in Korthos Village. It's really the first dungeon you get after the tutorial, so let's go ahead and get started. So we start inside the Wavecrest Tavern, which is in Korthos Village. And if we go out of the tavern, as soon as the screen loads, and it's going to take its own sweet time, which is okay. Okay, well, it's taking longer than we thought, but that's all right. So the thing about this dungeon, oh, here we go. You go out to the right and up this little path here. You can see all the snow. And the person you need to talk to get the quest is Kaja Bauerdatter, I guess. Obviously, there are multiple options you can take as far as the dialogue with her goes. I'm just going to pick this one. Because we're doing everything on level 1 first, we're going to go pick it at level 1. And one of the things I'm going to make sure of before I forget is, I really am going to do this one probably without a hireling, just because I don't particularly need one. But you can. One of the things, though, about this dungeon is there are a few casters in here, but doing this on level 1, which is essentially the normal difficulty, they're probably really not going to present too much of a problem for you. As you go up in difficulties in dungeons, your casters start having a wider range of spells that they can use. Let's go ahead and just put in this. Fortunately, now I have a repeating crossbow, and the conjured bolts and repeating crossbows just go hand in hand so well.
Coming from deep in the crypt, you hear the strange and unsettling echoes that Kaya spoke of. And by the passage leading in, a grim-faced man. Strange. Sarcophagi line the wall. You notice something strange about the wall to the west. If you search the wall, you may discover more.
It used to be when you originally did this, there were a whole bunch of sarcophagi that you could break when this first came out. I don't remember when they removed those.
You found some kind of secret door in the wall. Once you open it, you can reach whatever's behind it.
Now, the one thing about this repeating crossbow, or really crossbows of any kind, is the fact that when you have them, if you don't, and you're trying to click on a clicky or something like that, like to open the secret door like I just did, or, to try and maybe break something, there is this huge tendency for them to, you're just not clicking in just exactly the right spot, you're not in the right place, and so it'll fire off your crossbow instead. That is just, unfortunately, a problem with positioning and the interface and all that sort of stuff, so you just have to sort of try to get used to it. Let's see, now, for some reason these guys don't trigger until you get too close to them.
What were those cultists up to? This bears more investigation. A treasure chest glimmers in the dark passage here.
Alright, so if you open this chest...
Though rusty, this longsword is still sharp. It's a slashing weapon, perfect for slicing through putrid zombie flesh that would resist puncturing or bludgeoning weapons.
Now, of course, this has got the exclamation point, which means I have a good chance of not using it, and it's not optimal for me anyway. It's also a starter item, so it can't be traded, sold, or any of that stuff. The idea being you use a sword against zombies, and you use some kind of bludgeoning weapon against skeletons because they're more resistant to the other types of damage.
Performing some kind of ritual. A magical crest appears from the destroyed altar. If you take it with you, it may be useful later. You continue to hear cultists about their evil work from further inside the crypt.
I am not going to pick those weapons up because I have this repeating crossbow, so it's a little easier for me to use. So I'm not particularly going to worry about it. But under other circumstances, it might be a good idea if you've got characters who can use those items.
As you slay these foul cultists, take care to keep your own health.
I've already gone through 50 of these crossbow bolts.
Another treasure chest. Perhaps the cultists brought it here, but it's your... This heavy mace is a bludgeoning weapon, ideal for smashing apart skeletons. Their bones are resistant to puncturing or slashing weapons.
The whole point of this really is to teach you about damage resistance in the game, and that certain weapons can bypass certain types of damage resistance.
It croaks. Cragwolf. Another crest drops out as you smash the altar. There might still be other altars elsewhere in this crypt.
Now, if we didn't destroy these altars in time, we wouldn't get these optionals that you see over here on the upper right-hand side, and the zombies and skeletons lying on the altars would rise up, and we would have to fight them. So we're losing experience if we don't destroy these, essentially. I think everyone can probably see why I like the crossbows, the repeating crossbows especially, so much. And I'm just going to go ahead and cast a little bit of a heal on myself. Once again, there are a few casters in here, but
in the middle of this chamber is an evil devourer altar. By it, when the altar collapses, a third crest appears. It glows with cold magic.
There are casters in here, but doing this on normal difficulty, I'm really not worried about it. So, you know, getting the kind of resistances to potions that they can cast, you know, at higher levels, that you know, higher difficulties.
Something odd on the wall, possibly dangerous. If you search, you may be able to find out more.
So this is all about, you know, finding and disarming traps, which as an artificer we can do.
The trap heat acid sprays out of the wall as the gate slams shut.
See, I have to get rid of that crossbow because it's not going to let me.
The trap. You've disconnected the trap's firing mechanism.
Oh yeah.
The chest is safe to approach now.
The interesting thing about this particular trap, I can't use that really. The interesting thing about this particular trap is there are actually two disarm boxes because they don't know which direction you're going to approach from. If this just up the hallway to our left, if we continued going on, would be, you know, where we pretty much started from and where we got those breakables at the beginning. What I was saying though is at higher difficulty levels, the casters that are in here that you fight, and especially in later dungeons that are start higher level to begin with, you might want to have either the ability to cast resistances to certain elements, or in my case, I can cast just resistance, which gives me bonuses to pretty much all my saves. You can get resistance to specific types of damage, things of that nature.
A magical barrier blocks the way, and behind it, another Sahuagin performs unholy rituals at a devourer altar. This barrier appears linked to 3 sockets in the wall. If you find the crests to those sockets, it may allow you passage. You can fit the last crest in place,
doesn't shut up.
And the magic shield dissipates. The Sahuagin inside spits out in a venomous voice.
These fools who would keep Kothos shall be consumed by the Devourer.
The last Devourer altar shatters. Your bold action saved Kothos and brought the Sahuagin's fell scheme to naught. The treasure chest in the antechamber is now yours.
As I was saying, higher dungeons, you know, if you get ahead of these tutorials, which is easy to do, you can always look on places like DDO Wiki, and they'll show you what kind of monsters are there, and you can kind of figure out what spells they're likely to cast. and get the appropriate, potions of resistance if you have them and use them and that sort of thing. Or the appropriate buffs if you've got a caster. So that's what you can do. It's really not necessary when doing this dungeon on normal because it's not particularly challenging. You may not necessarily have quite as easy a time as I did because repeating crossbow builds can be pretty good. All right, so we'll go turn this in. And she's going to give us an amulet of inner focus and brute force. The brute force has too many penalties. -2 intelligence and wisdom makes you tougher. With this character, I don't want that. And so I don't think... do I have an amulet? I don't have an amulet. So I'm going to get the amulet of inner focus, which gives me a concentration bonus and a will save bonus.
Some of the braver villagers tried to stem the Sahuagin tide, but their courage led to naught but grievous injuries. Korthos needs someone with more than just guts.
So there we go. That's going to add to our saves. Things of that nature. You can see with that amulet, our will save has gone up to 3, and our concentration has gone up to 6, which is very respectable for first level. What we've got to do now is we got to go to enhancements, and we're going to find the crossbow build because that's really what I want to do. I think it's the Arcano Technician, but I want to make sure of that before I do that. I want to make sure I've got the right one. Maybe it's this one. Maybe it's, oh, yeah, here we go. It's the Battle Engineer. Okay. Okay, so I've got 1 action point remaining. Let's see which of these things... let's just start with going in with a concentration, disable device, and open locks. That's going to be perfectly fine with us. At any rate, folks, there you go. Heyton's Rest. A fairly short and simple and not particularly difficult dungeon. If you miss the secret door at the beginning because your search isn't high enough, this is usually more of a problem on higher levels. You'll always be able to go back all the way around that kind of little circle the place makes, and you'll wind up getting the stuff anyway. You just won't get the little tiny extra experience point bonus for doing secret doors, which is not a huge difference in the amount of experience you get at this level anyway. So there you go. Heyton's Rest. I hope everybody learned something from that, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.